Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dadcast. I am JP, that guy is Nick, and the other guy making his very first official appearance as one of the hosts of Dadcast, Mr. Jesse Dugas. How are you, sir?
Great, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. Nick, how you doing today, bud?
I'm good.
The health is good. Everything's fine.
Yeah, today.
Good today.
It's good today.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we can ask for. Right on, man.
Exactly.
Well, welcome to 2024, albeit a tad bit late. We've had some hiccups with the internet and all kinds of crazy things over the last couple of weeks, but we're finally back on track. We are with an amazing guest. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rob Oberhofer. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, gentlemen. I appreciate being here. I love what you guys are doing. And we finally made it. Like you said, we've had a couple hiccups.
It's like, I feel like the hat you're wearing right now should be sent to our internet service provider, which will not be named.
Yeah, this hat, it's more for me than anybody else, I think.
I think we're going to get into that a little bit here, man. So
you are a Raider fan, right?
I live in Vegas. To be honest, full disclosure, the only sport I watch is UFC. I don't watch anything else.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go, Jesse. You lucked out, Charger fan. And today is literally in real time, you guys, as we speak. Jesse, we got on, and I think the first thing he said to me was, "You're screwed," because we just found out the Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh as the coach. So yeah, congratulations, there, Charger fan. Should be good.
Chargers, huh? I got to connect you guys. I'm real close with Sean Merriman.
Ooh,
maybe I can get him on the. I'm pretty sure I can get him on the podcast,
dude. Absolutely. I'm wearing all my Raider gear that day, though, just so you know.
So I actually have a Merriman jersey.
When we do that, though, we're doing it in person, so Sean will kick your ass.
I'll take it, man. That's some good footage. That's content right there, Nick.
Please, I know we got a good show ahead of us, but remind me after this. I'll shoot him a text. He'll come on for sure.
Being that you're in Vegas, Rob, do you know what? Hold on. Let's back up. First of all, Rob, I have one question for you. Two questions just right off the bat. Okay. First of all, the rite of passage here on Dadcast is the first question. Are you a dad?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us, man, how many kids you got, ages, names, all the goods.
All right. So in my second marriage, I'm on my third now. I'm a professional dad and a professional husband. My ex, when I met her, had an 18-month-old and a 6-month-old, and I took them on as my own and legally adopted them and raised them. They're going on to be 16 and 14 this year. And I have an 8-year-old with my ex, biologically, my daughter. So 2 boys that are older than I have my daughter. And then I have my beautiful 1-year-old Cash Monroe laying on the floor over there that my wife and I have, we've been blessed to have another girl. So yeah, 4.
2 boys, 2 girls, man. Well done. That's awesome. Like completing the set. Now backing up a tad, are you really a professional husband if it takes 3 times? Just curious,
No, now I am. I wasn't then.
Right on, man. Now, Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What is your claim to fame? And being a dad is not the answer.
I have lived many lives, in my short, almost 38 years. I'm still young, but I've done so much, I'd say my first identity was U.S. Army military police sergeant, combat vet, did that for almost a decade. And that was who I was through and through. I was going to do that until I was old and gray and the military got rid of me, or I was going to die on duty. That's all I did. That was my life. Post-military, an active duty, I became a contractor in New Jersey, and I helped train guys in, tactics to get ready to go overseas for deployments, from clearing houses and non-lethal weapons and all that cool guy stuff to prep them and give them a little check mark saying they know just enough to get on the plane. And then I got hired with the Department of Defense in 2016, and I became a tactical non-lethal weapons instructor, and I was a part of the Department of Defense Police. And I, did that up until, I'd say, my fall in the late of 2017 with my PTSD and addiction at that time. I'm sure we'll get to that. I'm going on 6 years sober. And I decided I wanted to figure out who's Bobby outside of the military. And thankfully, the U.S. military gives you your benefits. So I still had my GI Bill benefits. And I went to barber school. Then I moved to California. I went to cosmetology school because I wanted to open a business before COVID. And in my mindset, how I was taught, I can't lead from the front. If I cannot do your job, I have no business telling you what to do. So I figured I'm going to learn all the aspects of hair. And I was going to open a barber shop, tattoo shop, and salon all in one in the Bay Area.
All right.
And then, then COVID hit, and there was we all know how that went. You couldn't cut hair. I was very happy I didn't follow through with any VA business loans and invest, but I still needed income because I got, a squad, and I decided to use the rest of my benefits. And I went to the San Francisco Film School for the remainder of COVID and just tried to follow that artistic route. Pick this is in out of my mouth. And I did that up until a year and a half ago. And during some of that time, I was going to school because of COVID on Zoom, which, for anybody, especially I was older than most of the teachers, it wasn't the best learning experience for me. But as a dad, I was getting $5,000 a month. I know a lot of people don't talk about money, but hopefully some soldiers will see this that are kind of lost. San Francisco pays the most per capita in the entire United States to people that go to school there as a monthly allowance to be able to support your family and pay the bills while you go to school. So I was very grateful to get paid the entire time during COVID, plus my disability. And during that time we were in Vegas, and I'm a huge UFC fan. I mean, like crazy, to the point where I'm one of the only people to ever stand outside of the UFC headquarters building with a sign that says, "Uncle Dana, Iraq vet, let me watch the fights." And I'm one of the only people to ever actually get in the building and build a relationship with Dana White and go to a bunch of fights and network to meet friends of Dana, who in turn is why I'm in Vegas. I was asked to come host a fight show in Las Vegas on a podcast under a network called the Junkies Podcast. Tony Orlando, the famous singer.
We know him, man.
We're very familiar with all those.
They're all friends of ours. Yes. So, we've been in that studio.
John,
yep.
Yeah. So John asked me personally to come out and host a show, and I did it for about 8 months. And, in the last 2.5 months, I've moved on to awesome opportunities. And now I'm a co-host with MMA Weekly, one of the biggest juggernaut media companies in the entire world. Almost 2 million followers across all social media platforms. And I host my own show, Life of War, for people who have been through addiction, homelessness, mental health, divorce, custody, Iraq, combat vets. And I'm just trying to give back because I've been through so much and I have so much experience under my belt. I wanted to do something that I felt really came from the heart instead of just trying to make content. So the answer now, I really could honestly say I'm an entrepreneur. I hang out with a lot of very successful multimillionaires, and I'm trying to learn from them how to build my own community and start my own masterminds and just surround myself with people that I aspire to be like, so I can earn a better living on my own time. Because I've lost so much time. I used to work 12.5-hour shifts every single day with an hour commute both ways. And I was worn out. And now I spend probably more time than my wife would like with her and our daughter. So
she may say that, but in the back of her head, that's very, very fortunate, I think. She thinks. Yeah. She's right there. We can ask her.
Yes, she is there. What do you think? Am I home too much? She laughed.
JP, were you with me in Vegas when Dana was at Sticky Paws?
No.
I was there helping a mutual friend, Brian, and got to meet Dana when Dana was on John's podcast. I happened to be in Sticky Paws working with Brian.
Yeah, I was there for Randy Couture.
Awesome.
I was there when Randy Couture was there. So got to hang out with him for a little bit. He was on Brian's podcast.
Randy's great. I was just cage side with him for the Extreme Couture GI Foundation at the Sahara for the fights. And I brought a buddy of mine I was in Iraq with. Unfortunately, he had just had one of his friends he served with take his life, which happens a lot, as we know, 22 a day. So he was kind of down and out, and I brought him to the fight. And that just reminded me of what else I'm doing. That turned into like me deciding that on top of all the podcasting, I started a new venture. It's like a veteran experience that's attached to MMA Weekly. And I now take veterans that are real down and out and depressed, basically where I was 6 years ago. Try to find people that are in that headspace that I can, literally say, like, I get it, bro. Like I've been there, and I take them out. I took a guy 2 weeks ago indoor skydiving with his wife. And we took him to a friend of mine at the Art District owns Soul Belly Barbecue. And, we just gave him the works for the day and gave him a good time. And I'm hoping by the end of the year, it ends up being on Discovery or Travel Channel. That's the goal. And every week I want to fly somewhere, find a vet, take them to, a Chargers game or something cool and vlog the whole thing. That's my goal.
I have I feel like this is going to be plagiarism kind of, sort of, but I have something I haven't heard from this guy. Okay. I'm very what the hell are you talking about, JP? Spit it out. I knew a guy who kind of did exactly what you just described. But I haven't heard from him on social media in years, and I haven't seen anything about his nonprofit, which I'm going to tell you about, in years either. So I feel if you want to take any piece of this and run with it as part of your own foundation that you may create, have at it. And bro, I even forgot your name. If you end up seeing this podcast, man, I'm sorry, you all should collaborate, et cetera, et cetera. But he had this thing called Heroes Meeting Heroes. And he was a vet, combat vet. He got blew up. I mean, he's got scars to prove it. And he came back and he was just, I didn't serve. I can't even begin to understand or even try to. That's none of my business. But I do have sympathy for that. And he came back. I met him at a concert and that I was promoting, and he happened to be here. And the whole gist of Heroes Meeting Heroes is he would get a group of heroes, some vets, some war vets, and bring them to concerts to meet their heroes, whatever bands or whatever. And I thought that was just the coolest idea. And it seemed like every band, as soon as they heard about it, they went the extra mile. They actually brought these kids, these men on stage and allowed them. This one guy, he was a vet. He played guitar. It was, I forget the name of the band, but they were big. Let him play guitar on stage with them. It's like the height of the show. And it was so cool. It was so great. And just seeing the smile. And these are guys that weren't smiling all day. And all of a sudden you couldn't take that smile off their face at the end of the day. What you're doing resembles that to me. It right there, Heroes Meeting Heroes. And that's cool, man. That's just amazing. And I wish he was still doing it. And I saw it on social media. I don't, again, don't know what the deal is or why it isn't, but that's amazing. Yeah,
it's a lot. Execution has become something that I'm getting really good at, but it's hard for a lot of people. And it could be where you're based. Like you guys are up north. I'm in the Mecca of the world right now. So and because of my connections, like speaking of Sean Merriman, he owns Lights Out Fighting Championship. And I'm going to be going to Palm Springs and taking a vet on the 16th. I'm friends with the founder of Five Finger Death Punch, Sultan Bathari. He wants to help. I talked to, real close with Sean Mike Kelly, who's got, the #1 marketing podcast on earth right now. And he's helping me connect with a lot of the other high level entrepreneurs and people that are in his circle. And because of where I'm at, I can execute because every single weekend there's something going on here. And yeah, the UFC, I have a meeting with Dana soon because I go to a lot of fights, but I want to get some extra access to bring, a vet with me. And I'm excited because once I stopped focusing on me and I started focusing on forget the money, forget all that. Once I just focused on helping other people, my life has just slowly started to change for the better.
I think this is super cool. A bunch of my friends were ex-military. And when they came back, the big thing was let's go party, let's get drunk, let's do drugs, let's get fucked up. This is a much better route than losing yourself that way. You're showing these guys there's better ways to do things, more productive things to do, and life is just way cooler sober. And it's just, I think it's great. So.
Well, yeah, it's thank you for continuing to serve.
Yeah.
Thank you for the time you put in and continuing to serve. My oldest son is currently enlisted in the Army. Works intelligence in Maryland. So in his fourth and possibly final year, he's looking to get out and branch into law enforcement possibly. So it's but thank you. It's the stories that you're telling and doing this is needed and very much underappreciated.
Yeah. I mean, no one's coming to help us, especially us. We all know dads are, the pillar of the family that will literally walk around with their chest out and head held high. But we just teared up in our car in the parking lot while we, or in our driveway. And that's just, it's good. And I think that's great that we are strong and we need to be for our families. But when you see a guy like me, 6 foot, 200 plus pounds, tatted to the gills, who's been to war, been through all this stuff, and I say it's okay to tear up, and I physically do it on podcasts, and I let people who think they're weak for doing that, or I say everybody's scared of being judged and I say, what do you think? I'm weak? Because whenever I'm in my presence in a room of people, it takes over the room. You can't tell somebody that they're weak for being vulnerable. And I think that narrative needs to change. We don't need to be victims. That's also another problem. Everybody just wants to be a damn victim, especially in the military community, walk around like they're 80 and live off their disability like their life's over. But we need to, nobody's coming. That's my point. We got to help each other. And that's why I'm doing it.
What are you doing to instill that mindset on your kids? Or do you?
Yeah, I think I'm just consistent. I'm just this guy. And I'm open, and I communicate a lot, and I try to, say like, and my dad always said, my dad was a cop in New York City. He's from Brooklyn. He was in 9/11, lost his partner. He went through a lot. Pretty hard man. And wasn't the best communicator. He's pretty quiet, old school. And he always said, like, don't get mad, don't get sad, get mad. I remember playing T-ball or Little League, 30 some years ago. And he would say, don't get sad, get mad. And I still live by that, but I've kind of transitioned into like, the world's changing. Our voices and content and certain things are becoming more valuable than being the tough guy. And I try to give everything I can to my kids and just be the same person every day. I had so many years with the addiction that I was up and down and I didn't even know who I was. And now that we made it through that, God willing, I'm just trying to say it's okay to not be okay. And I'm here and I'm open to listen. I mean, that's the biggest thing we got to do as dads is just be like, I want to be the guy that you go to. And I don't want you to go to somebody. Yeah, that's it. We got to be that guy. We have to.
That's what I struggle with too. I had this conversation with my son. He's 13. He's going through some pretty gnarly changes right now. The natural changes, you know what I mean? Yeah. My lady called it. She took a picture of it. He has an armpit stash that's just appearing, which is her funny way of saying he's got armpit hair growing. And sorry, son, if you see this, I don't mean to be embarrassing you. So don't show you.
Hey, we've all been there, right? We've all been there.
Exactly. But I constantly tell him, like, good or bad, I am proud of you, and if there's ever a problem, I'm the guy, man. I am your dude, whether it's you're stoked on something that happened in your life or God damn it, you did something terribly wrong and I'm going to be mad, whatever, and everything in between, come to me, talk to me. Okay. And I got the blank stare while having the conversation, and it's happened a lot. And as I feel like, it's so, what more can I do to, instill that my baby girl, no problem, man. 10 years, she comes with everything. And it's just that damn puberty. It's starting with the boy now.
I'm telling you right now, man, like that's like the funny part. So like when my boys were that age, now that they're 16 and up, they don't shut up. Like, it's like, hey dad, I need this, dad. So it's like, just keep doing what you're doing. It works.
Yeah. Well, trust me, he doesn't have a problem asking for money. It's when you have a conversation, we're talking about life in the future and who I am, my role, who I am to you and what I continue to be and always will be as long as I have breath in these lungs in this life. I'm your guy, man. You can always come to me. And it'll sink in eventually, but it feels like it's still just going right over his head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we all remember, right? We all kind of remember the time that it sunk in for us. I was probably,
I was in my 20s.
Close. Yeah, easily. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, but then I didn't want to hear nothing,
Yeah.
So,
do you parent your sons and daughters differently? I've got three. So my three oldest are all boys. So I've got a 22-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 6-year-old that are boys. And I've got a 3-year-old little girl. And I find myself absolutely parenting her differently than I ever have. Do you find that same thing, parenting your sons to your daughters?
Well, and I'm in a different unique situation. We were just fighting for custody. My ex is in Texas. So I've unfortunately, due to my own decisions, I lost. Yeah. All my exes, because of my PTSD and just my own decisions of using and just being an angry, hurtful person. I've lost a lot of time with them. But I distinctly remember, my daughter is my biological daughter, and the boys, I've raised them since they were babies, and I've never once ever treated them different. They have my name. They're my sons.
I'm the same way. So my oldest, that's in the Army, he was 3 when his mom and I got together. Yeah. Legally adopted, same thing.
But I remember vividly being told, "Hey, you're treating her differently than you treated them at that age." And I remember my answer at the time was like, "Well, they're almost 10 years older and they're boys, and she's a baby girl. Like, of course I'm going to treat them different." But looking back now, I could definitely, maybe it was a paternal thing, or is like I was still trying to figure out how to be a dad because I got thrown into. Overnight I became a dad. But I think we have to parent, and just like when I used to tell my soldiers, I gotta treat everybody as an individual. I can't lead you the same as I lead them, or him as her, because you guys might really listen to an aggressive sergeant in your face saying, "If you don't make it up the mountain, you're gonna fucking die." Well, the next soldier might break down because he's not used to that, and you need to coddle them a little more. It's kind of why I got out of the military back then. I was starting to get real weak because all my sergeants threatened to murder me every day. Yeah, it's just this life trying to figure out personalities. My oldest son, he's on the spectrum, so he grew up going to ABA therapy, OT, and speech twice a week. And my middle guy, the youngest Nolan, he's a wrecking ball. This guy would get in trouble for tackling people in T-ball, and he wants to ride dirt bikes and jump off the house. He's me, literally. But yeah, parenting, man. I never thought I would, for one, have daughters. That right there.
Yep.
That's what did it. The boys, I was like, all right, but once you have a little girl, changes everything.
Yeah, I get it. So my 16-year-old sprained his MCL in a basketball game Friday night. Get up, rub some dirt on it. My little girl jumps off the couch, and I'm like freaking out. It's completely different. Hey, can I ask you a personal question?
Please.
So, addiction in society is gnarly. For most people to get over that and deal with it, they have to have that moment in their life, that trigger that says enough's enough. Did you have that moment, or was there something else that got you to break your trend?
I just had this conversation on my show like last week. It's funny. You would think that rock bottom, I can distinctly, like, looking at all the events that have happened in my life, I could point out like getting in trouble, getting arrested, being told I'm facing 99 years and my bail's $350,000 and being stuck in solitary while I'm detoxing off of opiates. And then I got served divorce papers. If you look at the broad spectrum of everything I've been through, that would be rock bottom for almost anybody. But as soon as I got out, I relapsed, and I was in county for a while. My dad bailed me out, and I remember calling him and said, "You got to get me out of here. I've been a police officer this whole time. Like, I can't be in here." And he said, "No, I don't hear it in your voice," and hung up on me. And I didn't get out until he said, "All right, I think you really are starting to repent a little bit." He left me in there for a while.
Talk about a parenting moment.
Yeah, Dad, I'm in solitary. I'm real sick. I'm in trouble. Yeah, you didn't learn nothing right now, jackass. Hung up. That would be rock bottom, but I'm trying to figure out and I've asked a lot of addicts and I've interviewed hundreds of homeless people. And I've obviously, I know a lot of addicts from the sober community. Like, why? Like, what is that thing that makes us decide to stop? And I think for me, honestly, it was more of a like, I'm going to prove all of you wrong more than I wanted to stop, which is selfish. but I think that's what it was. Like, fuck you guys. I'm not who you say. Like, I used to be
it's the
a
competitive
squad
nature
leader.
in you, which turned out to be your saving grace.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
may call it selfish, but I mean, I think in everybody, I mean, you were talking about being able to tear up on a daily basis. I think we've all been there. As dads, we give up so much in our lives on a day to day to be a parent. Congratulations for being selfish. I mean, holy shit, it saved your life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We all need to be a little more selfish. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm very selective and very selfish now.
You see that, honey?
I mean,
being selfish is okay.
and being around and talking to people like you gentlemen, like, you guys aren't off the rails. You're not going to get done with this and probably go do an 8-ball or go, punch your wife in the face. Everybody I surround myself with now is pretty solid. We're all got some demons, but we're all genuinely through it, the thick of it. And I think that's a big thing too. People, places, and things. Now, granted, I don't go to meetings. I never, I've been to detoxes and sent to the VA by my own accord and escorted by the sheriffs, which was great, but I never identified as an addict. It was like drugs were my solution. They were never my problem. My problem was, going to war at 19, my mom leaving when I was a kid, and like seeing all my dad's friends that I consider family die. 37 guys died in one day in 9/11 that I grew up with. Like, it was just a culmination of things that I tried to numb. Like, drugs were never the problem. So I've been to tons of meetings, but everyone says, did you do the 12 steps? And I'm like, no, I did the steps I needed to take that work for me. I think it's great if people do the steps and do whatever works for them. But I personally just had enough. I was like, I'm not a drug addict. I just chose to do that. And yeah, we're going on July 23rd, my oldest daughter's birthday. Will be 6 years this coming summer. So
congratulations.
Yeah, buddy. All right. So 8 years old, you said, is your first biological daughter, correct?
Yeah.
9 years ago, you found out you were going to be a dad somehow, some way. Can you recall the emotions of that day?
Well, it was a little different than most because
good.
My
sounds interesting already.
Well, my daughter, we spent almost $50,000. She was in vitro. So my ex had the boys, and she had her tubes tied and burned. And my dad's done very well for himself due to his sacrifice to this country. He got a really big disability pension and Social Security for what he went through in 9/11, that he earned. And I come home from the Army with this woman that he told me not to bring home. He's like, don't just come home. You're 26 at the time or whatever. Don't just come here and figure out who you are, get a police job, whatever. And he said, well, I want grandkids. And she said, he said, I love the boys, but I still would like, a biological grandson or something. He's a crazy dad. So she said, I can't do it. My tubes are tied. And then I don't know. He came in one day and was like, what's this in vitro stuff? And we're like, what are you doing on Google, old man? And that was it. We all decided that that's what we were going to do. And I mean, I stuck my ex in the stomach for 2 months with 3 needles a day. And
yep.
Yeah.
This guy knows all about that.
Yeah, my last 2 babies are IVF babies. So yeah,
okay.
We did the whole. I was fixed, got unfixed 4 years ago, and we tried, didn't work out. So we did the IVF thing and had our 3-year-old, and then we had our 1-year-old.
Oh wow, yeah, it's
very, very.
He's pushing 50, and he's got a 1-year-old kid.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Yeah, but look at those guns. He's looking good though. In the gym every day, post the motivation. What's funny about IVF? If you've gone through IVF, but I'll explain a little. They obviously they take your man stuff and they put it, with the women's stuff. But before they do that, they before they actually insert the embryo and back into the female, they put every egg that has, gone together, and they look at them under a microscope to see which one is the healthiest, right? So they actually picked what they believe out of the 14 eggs that this was the healthiest or had the most probability for success. And then before we actually did it, they told my dad, hey, for another like $8,000, you can test for Down syndrome and all these other things. And he said, do it. So when they did it, the one that they picked, they found out would have been Down syndrome or been a miscarriage. So we chose a different one, and that's my daughter, and she's perfect.
Wow, technology, man.
Yeah, dude, science is so crazy.
So you did all that process. Were you in the room on the day of?
Oh yeah, I watched. It's a huge needle, and then they got the egg on the end of it.
No, I'm talking about birth.
We got to go back and talk about the whole starting out of the IVF thing. It's not like having a regular baby. It's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, it involves 70s porn, a dark room.
Yeah, it gets dark.
Dude, you had a phone in your pocket, man, right?
A couple of nurses. Dude, the 70s porn was so cool. It was like, and the internet was so slow. I was like, is this going to happen? Is it going to happen? The anticipation. Yeah. Fast forward to the big needle. Yes, that needle is just, yeah.
You could see it on the x-ray.
Yeah.
Go into the cervix. And then you literally see the little like speck, just stay in there. And then the needle comes out, but there's a little dot, and that's your baby.
Yep. And she keeps looking over your shoulder, your wife there.
Yeah.
She wants to have her come take a seat.
I love your socks. They're amazing.
They said they love your socks. They're amazing. Her Christmas, man. We're just talking about Natalie. Yeah. But no, it was an emergency C-section. She had, what was it? What's that thing when the ankle gets real swelled up? I forget the name of it. Preeclampsia.
I had no answer.
That must have been the wife that answered because we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preeclampsia is where the blood pressure goes up, and basically baby's got to come out right now. So it was an emergency C-section at night. And I remember. Did
you guys choose the sex? Was that an option for? I don't know. I mean, I've heard that that's an option to where you can choose.
We were going to, but because they did the extra and they found out only that one was the healthiest, but I didn't have a choice. Funny enough, all 14 were girls.
Oh,
all of them were females. And now I have another baby girl.
Right. I think you could probably go the natural route if you attempted it. It'd be 5 more girls. Going for that boy would be. Yeah.
Well, my little girl in here, natural, my wife. And I'm a girl dad through and through, So.
God, it's so.
I'm going to try for another one. I want to try for a biological boy.
So that's the answer to there's the answer to another question. Are we going to keep trying, et cetera, et cetera? There she is. What's up, Smiley? What's her name?
Look at them teeth.
Her name is Cash with a K. Cashman
Rowe. I feel like you and Brian have something in common. You're fans of Marilyn and Johnny, and he's Elvis and Marilyn. Cashman Rowe.
Yeah. Literally.
Oberhofer.
Brian's
CMO.
Who fucking know? K with a K, actually.
KMO. All right.
Yeah.
So it's the 3 that I was a part of with my wife were all C-section. JP, were any of yours C-section?
No,
Nick, you weren't either, right?
She was.
Did you pass out?
Me?
No. Yeah, I mean, those were natural. Rob, for your C-section, emergency C-section that you were there.
No, but my ex was a complete demon, and she still is after what she did with the custody battle. So I don't believe she had a soul. So she walked in there without a worry in the world.
Huh? No kidding.
She already had 2 C-sections with the boys. So this was her 3rd. So I was really nervous to the point where the anesthesiologist had to grab me and say, hey, man, everything's good. Because for me, everything's death. After being blown up and seeing everything I've seen, my anxiety and my PTSD just goes right to, we're dead. Like, that's it. There's no middle ground. 0 to 100. We are all gone. That's it. So I will definitely say that going through this pregnancy, because my wife's like, you already had a daughter, like, what's up. And I'm thinking like, no, because that evil human already had 2 and she knew she did everything. So I was just I on the sidelines. And now I'm expected to be the dad with the knowledge, you know, and be the strong one for my wife. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to really try my best to be that guy, but I was super scared. And then they had to induce her, and she didn't want the epidural, because of the things she's been through, not herself with drugs, but like she lost her best friend to fentanyl overdose, like not too, it was right before the baby, right? Yeah. So normally in an epidural, they use fentanyl. So she told them, no, we're not doing that. So they had to make a different cocktail, but she was very scared for the epidural, like anybody would be. But she didn't want it at first. She was having some contractions, and she was like, I don't want the epidural. That's for weak people and all this. I have the video of her saying that. Right. I have the video 16 hours later of her screaming at everyone in the room, get me that fucking epidural. And I'm like, get her the epidural. But yeah, that, and then, I mean, she was in labor almost 24 hours. We were at the hospital, and it was, it was the most intense. I'd rather be on a rooftop in northern Iraq, running out of ammo than have to go through that again. That was a natural birth, and just, man,
watching her go through it.
Yeah, just, these are my girls. This is my life. This is why I live and breathe, and I can't do anything but pet your shoulder and say you're gonna be fine.
It's rough.
It's crazy.
Go for the boy.
Yeah.
So he just finished telling you how stressful it was, and now you're like, hey,
for the boy.
Let's do it again.
Hey, he already said he wanted to.
Yeah, I hear you.
She's about a week and a half late right now, so we might be on our way.
Oh, is she looking at you now?
It's a girl. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's gotta be
the
a girl,
odds are
right?
in the favor from what you've been saying that it's going to be an all girl, but at least you got a women's basketball team forming here.
No,
yeah, we do.
I feel it, boy. I feel it.
All right.
I feel it too. That's what I look. That's what I like.
Boy, let's go.
I'm getting 50-50 boys and girls over here.
Rob,
he said girl.
Oh.
Who is your all-time go-to favorite UFC fighter?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow.
I think we should make it easier. I think we should go all-time current and then all-time.
I like that, because I was literally going through error. I've been watching this stuff over 20 years. So, I was going all the way back to the Pride days. My question doesn't change.
It still stands.
Yeah,
you gotta pick one. That's literally the definition of favorite, Jesse.
You should have a favorite.
I didn't say give me your top 5. I said favorite. Let's go.
I gotta go with John Jones, man. I just relate to that guy.
Yeah. Okay. He's a bad man.
And he's literally like, I have gone out and partied and then put on my police uniform, shine my boots, and worked, 12-hour shifts as a leader in charge of a whole base of police after partying all weekend, hoping that we didn't get popped, and that dude has publicly said to Daniel Cormier, who I'm trying to play golf with pretty soon. I'm still working on that, I partied all weekend and still beat you and took the belt. I just relate to the realness of that guy. I do love Eddie Alvarez, the underground king, Philly guy. I know Frankie Edgar personally for a long time. I used to see him at Quick Check all the time. He's from Toms River. I'm from Jackson. They're basically connected. But yeah, I'd have to go with John Jones. But if we went through like errors, I would go like Anderson Silva Anderson. And then I'd go Frankie Edgar. Back then, and like BJ Penn era. Robbie Lawler. John Jones, Conor McGregor, and and then up until now, I really, and I know him, I'm cool with him. Michael Chandler, I've seen him many times, and we've shoot the breeze. I like him a lot too. I like the way he carries himself as a man. If I could.
Will Conor win another fight in UFC?
I think he can. I personally, and in my close circle out here, that's, intimately in that world of UFC, that's literally my life and my bubble. We don't think his comeback fight should be Michael Chandler. My wife will attest to it. We just saw him when we saw Dana like a month ago at the Red Rock, and that boy's big. he's a little, I told him he's a little too tan, but he's jacked and he's living that life. He doesn't get knocked out quickly. And that's what Connor is going to look to do. And if he doesn't do it, it's going to be a bad, Nate Diaz. I got to throw Nate in there. 209, the Bay Area. I got to throw Nate in there. But I don't think he comes back and beats Chandler. I don't. He's posting about Roadhouse and drinking vodka on a yacht. Chandler's probably doing burpees right now. You know?
You ever, so you're at Red Rock with Dana.
It's crazy.
You're at Red Rock. You were at Red Rock with Dana.
He's there five days a week.
Was he playing blackjack when you were there?
Oh, that's all he does. He goes right in, plays. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big blackjack guy and watch everything I can with him playing blackjack.
Come out. We'll go over there. I'll take you into the room.
It's tomorrow too soon.
No, it's not. I guarantee you if
Jesse, you ain't throwing down $500,000 though in one night, my friend.
No, I'm not, but
you can put $1,000 down, you know, we could play $100 plays, you know.
Let's go. I'm in.
I'll be there in 14
11
days.
hours.
No, I'm literally so in 22 I was in Vegas. So we live all in Southern Oregon. In 22 I made it to Vegas at least once a month. But the total tally ended up being 25 times between going to Sticky Paws and just for fun and this and that and whatever. 25 times last year.
When are you guys coming? I know your counterpart's trying to convince the people, his other half, to come down here. But
I try to get Nick to go every single time I go. And we finally got him to go and he had a goddamn stroke. So
I mean, move down here.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, that's our wives, man.
Yeah. Well, my wife would be okay with it.
My kid, my son's like every day, Dad, can we move? Let's go to Vegas. Like we're not living on the strip, dude. Okay.
Yeah, the problem with me is I'm too rooted down here until my 16-year-old's gone. He's going to go play Division I baseball somewhere. So he's absolutely phenomenal. So until he's a junior, so he still has his junior and senior year to go. Once he's done, it's actively being discussed.
Yeah, and on my part,
it's my wife. I mean, I take her to Vegas, and she absolutely loves it. I mean, I'm there enough. Yeah, JP, I saw.
It's my fault.
When Nick had his stroke, that was my first time in Vegas, and then Nick bounced like 10 minutes after getting there, trying to die on us and shit. And JP and I hung out, and since then, I mean, I pretty much mirror JP with the attendance. We both get everything comped when we go. I mean, we're there that much. And
yeah, so it's basically free as long as you don't fuck up gambling. That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, I love it. People ask me all the time, "How do you live in Vegas?" Well, I'd never go to the strip, really. I live
the cost of living. Yeah, the cost of living off the strip isn't bad.
Guys, look, I'm going to show you real quick. Take look. We're talking, and we didn't want to buy a house right away because we didn't know if we were going to love it here. But I paid $19.10 after everything that comes out to, I don't know, 2,000. But this place, 15-foot ceiling, it's huge. Literally, like 2-bedroom.
You rent or did you buy it?
We rent.
Yeah.
It's a luxury loft apartment. Huge master bedrooms with master bath with jacuzzis, walk-in closet to the baby's room. Huge bathroom. You guys will like my bathroom. Look at that. That's the boys' bathroom right there. Oh yeah.
What's that flag behind you?
Oh, that's just mine.
Oh, it's a shower curtain. Never mind.
Yeah.
And we're getting a tour of Oberhofer's home. This is a first.
Yeah,
no guest has ever taken us through their home. Oh, look.
Huge, big walk-in closets. You can't. I mean, I paid almost double this for a 1-bedroom, half the size when I was in the Bay Area.
Yeah, and it's about that going rate in freaking Southern Oregon in Medford. Yeah. I would love to move to Vegas. But in my case, my lady, she's real close to her mom, and we also both have a job. We work for the state providing disability care for her brother who has he has autism, but like it is extreme, if that's even the proper way to put it, as it goes. He needs 24/7 care. So we get we are able to basically, I work and hang out with my brother-in-law, and
that's beautiful.
Her mom they're connected. So if we go to Vegas, they got to go to Vegas. Or as she says, you can come back every weekend. Go ahead. It's like
my mother-in-law lives in Napa, and when we buy a house, we're looking to get something that has like a little nice 1 bedroom in the back. Like we don't, nothing against her, she's great, but our house will be separate. But if I can get a nice pool and then
mother-in-law
like
unit, in the basement. A block away, it's no kidding. I'm kidding.
Stay. But that's the goal. We just, we came out here on a whim with Orlando, and we were like, well, let's see if we like it. And we fell in love with this place. 2 basically humongous pools and jacuzzis and a full gym and security. And
now, how far are you from the Strip?
30 minutes without traffic.
Okay, so where do you live? What's the city?
I'm in Centennial Hills, so I'm way northwest. You got the Strip here, and then all the way up to the left is Red Rock, Summerlin.
Yeah.
And then I'm 15 minutes north of Summerlin.
Yeah, man.
Is that where the drag strip is? Close to it? Or is it
no, I'm on I'm on the way other side. That's the not so good side. But I don't know if you guys ever been to like the big cities. I'm sure you have, San Francisco, New York.
I grew up in LA, man.
I grew up in San Diego. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the whole building is just one. And like if you took a skyscraper and laid it on its side and made it 4 stories, that's where we live. So we got a lot of security, different access. I mean, I don't even have a code, like a key. It's a code thing. You touch it and you got to put a code in. It's the weirdest building ever. But we absolutely love being away. We don't gamble much. We don't go to the Strip. We got the baby. We'll get a sitter.
The last time I was down there for more than...
Shut up, Nick. So all I hear is we're going to go hang out with Dana when I come.
Oh.
He has assumed the role perfectly, Nick.
I know. Wow. What a dig.
Wow. I never was that bad, ever.
I know.
And anytime, I swear, he's probably there. If any of you guys could go on your phone right now, do me a favor, go on, look at Bob Menery's page, go to his story, and you'll know if he's there right now.
Well, they're doing that. The last time I was in Vegas for more than 5 minutes, we went with TJ Lavin out to Boulder City. He was doing an open mic thing, and he showed us out that area. That was like beautiful out there. It reminded me of like bars. Like it was just old and just awesome. And
we just went. Have you heard of the Pioneer Saloon?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we went out there.
Oh, I'm just teasing Nick. I've been trying to get Nick to go back to Vegas with me for 2 years, and it's always a no.
No. I'm doing it. I'm making a plan. We're doing it.
Okay, good. And I'm there too. So the reason I'm going flying, I'm taking the lady every Valentine's Day for the last 5 years, at or around. I take her to South Florida, Hollywood Beach in particular. We fell in love with it, man. We go check out the Keys, but the secret reason is there is a place called the Taco Beach Shack, which is the best fish taco I've ever had in my entire life, and I've tested them out everywhere. That's why we go. But we also fell in love with the place and just the whole area. Flying.
Have you been to Destin?
Oh, yeah.
Destin, Florida? Yeah.
I got Eric Stone. He's a trop rock musician. He's a guitarist, singer-songwriter. He lives in Destin. The place got wiped out close to it a couple years ago in that damn storm. But sorry, hold on. Let me finish this, Jesse. Flying from where we live directly to Fort Lauderdale, which is the closest airport, it costs me less to fly from here to Vegas, stay for a night, and then catch a flight from Vegas to Fort Lauderdale and then rinse, repeat on the way back. So we're saying 2 nights at the Cosmo before we fly to Florida, which is the 12th, 13th, 14th next month.
And now you got a buddy to pick you. You got a buddy to pick you up at the airport. You're good.
Hey, I got tons of buddies. If you want to, but tell you what, so if you're going to do that, though, you better bring a friend, because my lady, I didn't even think about it. She calls up, because we're platinum at Cosmo, and I didn't even realize it, Jesse. She calls up and she has the limo dude picking us up from the airport to take us back to the Cosmo. So you better bring your friend, because we're rolling the limo back. Rob.
I'll bring the only friend I got, my wife.
The best fajitas I've ever had were in Vegas at Juan's Flaming Fajitas.
Juan's Flaming Fajitas, best fajitas I ever had.
Dadcast has now gone officially off the rails. We're talking about vaginas.
Yeah.
Right down from Sticky Paws, about 5 minutes away from Sticky Paws.
Okay. Yeah, I was just at Sticky today. And yesterday I was at the Win for 6 different podcasts. I listen to this. I'm going to have you guys laugh because I just made a post that always be your authentic self. So I'm friends with Sean Kelly, huge presence in social media. And he says, hey, Bobby, I'm doing a bunch of shows tomorrow at the Win at Blue Wire. Can you come greet my guests and keep them busy? Because he does back to back. And I'm like, that's an opportunity I get to, because whoever's going on is going to be like real high level, So the first guest comes in. Sean he wasn't there yet, wearing a beautiful, beautiful watch and probably in his mid 60s. And we're talking, and then he says casually, he talks about his plane. And then I said, man, if I was gay, I would have 2 planes and $30 million. And he looks at me and he goes, why would you have $30 million? I said, because I'm on my 3rd marriage. And he died laughing. and he looks at me and his wife's sitting on the couch and he goes, she's my 3rd wife. And he starts dying. Come to find out, he's a Harvard grad, huge investor, and he's the founder of Topgolf.
All right, there it is.
Nice.
And he dies. And I'm telling him if I was gay, I'd have more money and talking all this, because I wouldn't have all these women problems throughout the last 15 years. And so that's my testimony to just be yourself. Because he texted me today and wants to play 18 holes and invited us to go out to his house in Georgia for the Masters. So if I would have been in my, nervous and acted different and how are you, sir? And, how most people do, and instead of just Bobby, I would have missed out on a huge opportunity,
I've noticed being your authentic self, because I have a hard time being anything but, has gotten me in more trouble than it's advanced me.
Definitely.
It's because I work in radio too. I've worked in radio and I've lost a job because of me as being my authentic self.
I gotta say though, the better times outweigh.
Yeah, they do. But those bad ones, they're memorable, man.
They sting. They sting a little bit.
Damn it, they do. Oh my Jesus, man, we are. We're having a good one when I just look down at the clock and we are close. We're getting close to the end of this thing, man. I have a question, Rob, Bobby. Which do you prefer?
I go by Bobby, but Rob, whatever.
What does your best friend call you?
OB.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just stick with Rob then. We haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
All right. I think this was such a good episode. I would like for you to commit to a part 2 somewhere down the line, not too terribly long from now. We'll get into more of the entrepreneur stuff, maybe Grind Lifestyle. Nick, you got to get him on there.
Yeah. Shout out to Grind. Thanks for all the merch. I've shared it with some very high level people in my circle out here. And gave a shirt away and a hat to another venture capitalist business owner, and certainly been trying to push you guys a little.
We got to get some Dadcast stuff, Nick.
It's coming. We got to get some more content, but it's coming.
We built this beautiful thing up in Dadcast and got it to a level where Nick can now do his other stuff, and he just said, "Screw Dadcast." Now that I've used you enough to get to this level, now I'm going to push all my other stuff and screw all the merch giving.
Have you guys trademarked that name? Because that's really good. I love that name.
No, weren't we supposed to do that in 2020, Nick?
I don't know. No, that was back in that was back in the Marissa days.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah.
Jesse, get on that. We'll talk about that later.
You probably did trademark it and just we don't know about it yet.
I can look. I'll look into it.
And we can tell all the other Dadcasts out there to kick rocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a few of them, but they're not at the level that we are. Not to like.
I feel used as the IT guy.
Well, I hope so.
Can you guys tell me before we go, like your dynamic? And I don't want to ask you guys questions. Your show, but
please,
I love the energy.
Man. I love that.
Yeah, I love the energy you guys have. You guys, like, can you guys tell me about how you guys came together? Like, for all I know, you guys could have grew up together and went to high school.
I'm going to start, but I'm going to let Nick go because if you've noticed, I'm kind of the talker here. Jesse, well done, by the way. You should take some notes, Nick. He's only been doing
I never
one
shut
episode.
Up. Yeah, jokes on everybody else. Now I get paid to talk. So
I got you that one episode, dude. With Thomas Nicholas. I got you good.
You did. And then I was like,
I know. I'm like, whoa.
2020. COVID, shit hit the fan, the world has shut down, et cetera, et cetera. Nick, who I've known for years and years and years, because he, at the time promoted concerts, still does, would come to me working because I worked for a radio station and, JP, can you promote this? And blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We knew each other for a while. And when the podcast started getting, a big deal a few years back, he's like, we got to do one. We got to do one. And I was always like, get the fuck out of here. I'm busy. And 2020 hit. Finally, we ain't got shit to do. So he says, let's do a podcast. And I says, okay, good. What's it going to be about, bro? Talk to me. We can't just have a podcast. This is not Seinfeld of podcasts. We need a tangible idea, et cetera, et cetera. And he spits out, well, we're both dads. And I'm like, that is a goddamn good. Yes, there it is. So there's our idea. We need a name. And I'm like, podcast, Dadcast. It rolled off the tongue. It was a beautiful thing. It was great. I looked it up. There was a few more out there.
Love it.
There is one more out there. They're in Ireland. But they were like an offshoot of a different podcast. So that wasn't the big one. And I'm like, screw it. We're just going to roll with it. And at the time, the idea was two dads talking about problems we had. Because at the time, Nick just had his baby and wasn't allowed in the hospital because of COVID. He couldn't bond with his brand new baby. And my lady,
I would have went back to jail.
Yeah, my lady was diagnosed with breast cancer and had a double mastectomy. So we're like, we both got some issues. Let's get off our chest, and it just snowballed into all of a sudden we're getting these, A-list, B-lister guests on Dadcast because, he's got a lot of friends. He's got friends. I got friends. Brian was hooking us up, and they loved the premise and the idea of what it was, and it has just grown into it. Jesse down there. Didn't I say I was going to let you talk? God damn it. I'm sorry. Jesse down there was actually a guest on one of our episodes when we were talking about COVID. There was some local stuff going on and we wanted different opinions. He's on the city council in the city he lives in. And that's where we met him, found out he does all this amazing work with SEO and internet and building websites and all things tech geek. And we immediately just kind of drew to each other and we hired him to run Dadcast, basically, the website and do all this stuff. And he showed so much. We blew up after that. I mean, we were doing real good, but it got bigger, better social media wise, everything through the help of him. And we became real good friends. And then I think he yelled at me and said he felt bad and he really wanted to be a part of the show recently. And I says, okay, there it is. I'm kidding. It wasn't that pathetic.
Yeah, it kind of went, well, it wasn't so I consulted for the last several years and it's on the back end and it's something that I'm passionate about being on the front end as well. But, you talked about COVID personally. When COVID hit for me, I live in a town about a 45-minute drive from Nick and an hour from JP. And I had to reinvent myself, 2 different computer science degrees and trying to figure out how to make that work in a town with 2,500 people doesn't really work. I'm on the city council. I'm a business owner. I'm the head varsity baseball coach at the high school here. And so it's, trying to figure it out. So what I did is I created an AI program that intertwines with the different to do different types of promotion. And so it's, from YouTube promotion to SEO to website to social media marketing. Have you heard of Sean Ellington, Murder Nova on Discovery Channel, Street Outlaws?
Yeah, absolutely.
I manage all their shit.
He's the guy.
Yeah. So I used to be in the club life in Northern California. I won't get into that, but yeah, I know I've watched all that stuff,
So it's I picked them up, you were talking about being genuine. I literally went to Vegas in September, walked up to their pit, handed them a business card and said, we need to talk, and turned around and walked away. And 4 months later, I got a phone call. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's worked great. But that's who I am. But more than anything, I'm a fan of JP and Nick's and what they're doing. And so
and you guys are up. Where exactly are you guys?
Very southern end of the state.
Southern Oregon.
Right off the I-5.
Right over the border.
Okay. Because I've been up to Mount Bachelor up there.
That's about 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of my buddies I was in Iraq with, when I first went to California to go to school, I got there in May and I didn't start school till September and I didn't have a job. And his uncle lives an hour south of Bend and he does construction. He was like, hey, just come live with me. I'll give you $200 a day if you bust your ass. So worked in Bend, Oregon. We drove up there every day, and all these wealthy people. We ripped out bathrooms, and actually got stung by like 13 wasps and almost died, and got rushed to the hospital and got stuck with Ativan.
Murder
that was
wasps.
closing up. Yeah, I was with his son, a poor kid, 18 years old. I come into the house after getting murdered by these big wasps, and I said, "We got to go." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "We have to get to the hospital right now." And I'm trying to not like scare him even more, but I'm literally suffocating. And I'm like, "I'm fine. Put on your hazards and go faster." And I'm dying next to him, choking. And I'm like, "I'll be all right." He's like, "Oh my God." And we got there, and I got dragged in and got oxygen and got stuck and came back. But I feel bad. I scarred that kid, but we ripped the deck out, and underneath the deck was a big thing of wasps. And they got me like 30 something times in the head and the neck. And it just,
damn.
Yeah.
Not fun.
I came in the house and was like, "We got to go." All red. And yeah. So
all right.
That was my last time in friggin' Oregon.
I got one final question because time is up. We totally got to do a part 2, maybe even a 3.
Yeah.
The final question, I like to feel that it's one of the most important questions I ask on this show. Rob, if you were to impart any advice on any dad or soon to be dad, what's it going to be?
It's all going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Don't overthink it, because you can't control it anyway.
Yeah.
Just one foot in front of the other. And that's literally it. It's, even if it's not all right, it's going to be all right. Because I'm an overthinker, drive myself crazy. My dad told me that after 9/11. And he said, "Bobby, if you worry about the things you can't control, you'll drive yourself crazy." Yeah. So, try to just realize it's all okay. It's going to be okay, and just keep going and lead with love, especially with these babies. And then we're imprinting on them every single day. And as men, we want to be
no pressure at all.
Yeah. Just cruise, and that's a guy who's been doing dad stuff for almost 20 years. And, so it's easier said than done, but everybody's going to have stress. You're always going to worry about the next dollar. You're going to worry about the next bill and the pressure. Lean on other dads like we're doing right now, and be open and honest and transparent with the people that you trust, because everybody walks around like they're fine and like everything's cool. Everything's not all right. And if you guys know the guy that has everything together, I'd love to meet him so I could tell him he's a liar. But that's it. Yeah, everything's going to be all right.
Quoting Mr. Marley. All right. Nick, you got anything?
No, man, I'm good. We definitely need a part 2. For sure.
You know what we should do when you're in Vegas? We'll go to Sticky Paws and we can do a Zoom call with Dadcast and have 2 and 2 if you guys wanted. And
we've done it. We've been there and done that before.
Yeah.
Depending on the lady and how much time. If you get me the hell out of the casino, I'll take care of it's never a bad hour. Thing. You know what I mean?
I'll take care of the studio time too. I'll take care of the hour for us.
We'll chit chat after we're done with this, because we got we got 2 things we need to ask about.
Hey, before you go, sorry, we all know Brian.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Brian's the most sweet human in the world. What do you guys think of the stuff that he's got on his channel right now?
Oh man,
boy.
Dude, it's awesome.
I just watched the most current episode, dude, and tried calling him because Brian and I have gotten super close too. And I tried calling him and he didn't answer today. And I just want to give that boy a hug.
Dude, that last clip, I thought Brian was going to kick that dude's ass. I'm like, fuck. Yes, do it.
Oh man.
God, but hey, good for him, because that content is, I think that particular short I just saw was like it was not even an hour or so in, and it's like doubled everything he's already done. It's like
TMZ's involved now, so who knows?
Yeah. I was supposed to be there at 1:00 that day, and I'm glad I didn't go, because I'm that friend. You get in my buddy's fan. I'm trying to do better. I'm getting older. But, that guy didn't understand how big Brian was until he actually met Brian. He's such a soft-spoken sweetheart. And you meet him and you're like, oh, my goodness.
Dude, real quick. So I got a funny Brian story. The first time I had Brian up here in Oregon was like 8 or 9 years ago for a concert. And we're at this bar in Medford and just doing stuff. And one of the crew guys started talking shit to somebody in the crowd. And right before the show, Brian jumps up. He's probably 4 feet taller than this dude. And runs over, scares the shit out of the poor guy. My mother-in-law jumps in the middle, no. And became like Brian's bodyguard is the kind of the joke now of she protects Brian everywhere he goes. It's hilarious.
Brian don't need protecting.
Yeah,
No,
he's fine. Brian, you're good.
It was hilarious though. You had to.
I told you guys, I get emotional. I just got teary eyed thinking about how good life is and being on a call with you guys. And like, so for the people who think like it's never going to change, like it can. I'm living proof 6 years later, and I'm having conversations with men and fathers and people that are just tremendous. And I didn't think I'd ever be alive to see that day. So,
thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys,
Thank you so much for coming and not being afraid to tell your story and being transparent with us. And we've enjoyed it and can't wait to have you back. Stick around after JP hits that stop, and let's make sure that we can exchange some phone numbers. I'm in Vegas a ton, dude.
Yeah, ditto. We'll talk soon. Awesome.
Anytime.
And to everyone watching worldwide, wherever you may be and however you may be watching or listening, thank you so much for taking the time to check out Dadcast. We appreciate you. We love you. And if you do too, comment, like, subscribe, do all the things that is required on social media. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you next week on the very next episode of Dadcast. Have a great rest of your night, day, morning, whatever. See ya.
Peace out.